On today's show, 6 ways musicians can make money during the lockdown.
This is 30-minute music marketing.
30-minute music marketing for musicians who want to get better at marketing their music.
Hi, I'm Greg.
Hello, I'm Sheldon, and this is 30-minute music marketing, the show for independent artists and DIY musicians who want to get better at marketing their music, whether they're in lockdown or whether they're not in lockdown. I like to think, Greg, that at some point in the future, someone will discover our podcast and they'll be going through back episodes and they'll stumble across today's, and the whole notion of the lockdown will be but a dim and distant memory.
Yes, I think a lot of people are starting to possibly suffer from cabin fever, but
myself included. But let's not think too much about me. Let's think about the financial situation of all our DIY musicians out there. Some of them might be lucky enough to be full-time musicians. Some of them might just be musicians as something that they do within their spare time. And if they earn a little bit of money on the side, then all the better for it. But I hate to think how many weeks we are now in lockdown. It's quite a few. And it may well be that people haven't necessarily been thinking too much about the money that they possibly could be making from their music, but it may well be that we've crossed that particular bridge and now maybe finances are a little more of a priority than they have been. So I thought maybe it's a good time now to start thinking about ways that DIY musicians and musicians in general can start to possibly make a little bit of money, despite the fact that they might be, in lockdown and, confined to quarters. There are ways and there are means.
Well, as I found out how much you actually get via Universal Credit, which is not a great deal, and I'm sure I'm not the only person who's in that situation at the moment. Earning additional money has got to be a good thing, and I'm sure
it's got to be a heck of a good thing.
They are thinking about it, and it would appear that I was just, on a slightly different note. They're on Indiegogo, which I know is a resource that we might have talked about in the past in terms of crowdfunding and for projects and stuff. There's a bike company, this e-bike company that have set up, and they've smashed in terms of how much they wanted to fund by about 23,000%, and that's going now. So it would appear that although it might seem like dire at the moment and no one's got any money, it doesn't seem to be the case. If you come along and offer something good and it captures people's attention, then people are quite happily still invest in it.
Yeah, everyone will have, obviously, their own individual set of financial circumstances. But there are, a lot of people out there who have carried on working quite happily, either A, at home, or B, as maybe some sort of, form of key worker. And the thing that you have to think about is that they may well have more disposable income than ever before, simply because they're not going out in the car. So fuel consumption has heavily dropped. They're not going out to restaurants, cinemas, theatres, gigs, and pretty much any other form of outdoor entertainment. So like I say, it may well be that there's quite a lot of people out there whose finances are a little bit rosy, and if those people are in your audience demographic, it may well be that the time is ripe to.
Also another thing that's although people who have been furloughed who are getting 80% of their salary, but when you take out the cost of getting to work and childcare costs potentially, which I believe are ridiculously expensive, yeah, you're right. They could be at least as well off, if not more so, because, as you said, it's difficult to spend money.
It is for a lot of people. We also have to remember that our audience is international, Greg. So obviously we're based in the UK, and the government has what's referred to as a furlough scheme, whereby the government is indebted to pay 80% of the salary for people who are salaried PAYE staff Although, dare we say, self-employed people like ourselves fall through the cracks. Thanks for that.
Yeah. We don't get 80. Well, yeah, we get 100% of absolutely nothing.
Nothing. But enough about it. Anyway, let's try and be positive.
Yep.
And
so let's
I've got
ways
6.
of making money. Come on, Sheldon.
Right. So go on. Well, go on. You've got to do some usefulness.
I have seen quite a few of these online, and it seems to be becoming quite a buzz thing at the moment. And it is, do a paid live streaming gig.
So we're all familiar indeed. Our live feeds are saturated with people doing free live performances on social media and Twitch and on YouTube. But you could go the other way, and you could ask people to pay for a ticket for a special live streaming gig. Now, I know I think a lot of people out there will be saying, well, hang on, if I've already been doing live streaming gigs and I've been doing them for free, how do I actually sort of pivot and make a change and now actually start asking for money for something I've been doing for free in the first instance? Well, scarcity always increases the value of something. So you can say it may well be that I'm only offering 10 or 15 or 20 spaces to this particular live gig. So this is something that's quite exclusive, and only the toppermost of my fans are going to be watching it. That's one way. As we've already discussed when we're trying to suggest ways of getting people to a sort of a live show, you could do something special which you haven't been necessarily doing before in your own live streaming gig. So you could have a something where you do a special set of covers of a particular band. You could maybe
event, possibly.
Yes. So something that's slightly out of the ordinary, something that's been a different to your ordinary sort of setup. Obviously, you can do this.
What you've read at the book. Because I was thinking you'd want to do a Queen set, and at the bottom it says a mini set of Queen covers. Not to say that I'm starting to read your mind, but
I'm surprised this wall behind me isn't plastered with Queen posters, as my bedroom used to be when I was sort of growing. But that's the band that I'm in at the moment. We're not exactly doing a set of Queen covers, but we're doing a Queen themed tour, such as and indeed several other members of the band's, my band's love of that band. But yeah, something different, something out of the ordinary, something that might make people sit up and go, oh, you know what, for X amount of pounds or dollars, that might be something that's something that's worth it. You could even record, again, if you're using Zoom as a portal with which to do it, you could record said thing and send it to them in a special way. You could take requests specifically from your audience, and if you use a platform such as Zoom as we're doing at the moment, you get a visual interaction between yourself, the performer, and your audience, and other members of the audience do so as well. So it could almost be like a nice sort of meeting place for your super fans. So it's something I think people should definitely consider.
So if you are going to turn this into an evening wit, so to speak,
yes.
How do you price it?
That is a very good question. It's always said that you price it at a cost that the market will bear. I know there's been some discussion as to whether you should charge live streaming events or live streaming activities the same as their real world counterparts. I think if you think about the level of exclusivity and how much you might normally be charging for an event, I think as much as you would charge for an individual show. And again, if you want to put across to your audience that I'm actually using this as a way to generate money during these lean times, so you're not just doing it as a seat at a live streaming gig, you're doing it as a way of supporting me as an artist, that might be a way you can incrementally bump up the price.
I suppose something that you could also add is and I talked about this on my live Q&A session yesterday, in terms of like, if you are going to do something that's paid, then maybe you need to implement something a little bit better. So say, for example, a little USB mixer to record the audio properly and things like that. So, do, by all means, do the free stuff, which is more kind of not lo-fi, but if you're going to do a private gig, then stepping up your game a little bit and making it a little bit more,
making sure the quality's there. Yeah.
For a modest outlay. And if you're going to, and then by recording it, I think you should be able to, they're getting a gig and they're also getting a recording and a video and audio and stuff like that. I think you should be able to charge, what, £6?
At least. I took part in an online film quiz on Thursday night, and the cost of tickets, including booking fee, it's great, isn't it? Even the world of online gigs have got
online booking
great.
fee.
Thanks, Eventbrite. It was less than a fiver, but that accounted for over sort of 2 hours entertainment from start to finish. And I thought to myself at the end of the experience, you know what, the fiver for 2 hours entertainment, that was all right. Plus, there was the chance of winning a modest cash prize. I was 11th. Never mind.
Better luck next time.
Better luck next time. So point number one, you could do a paid live streaming gig.
Effectively, what you've done is you've used your free gigs to raise your profile, build an audience, and now capitalize on a small percentage of those. And effectively, you could be earning 60 quid an hour.
You could do, yeah. And the frequency might be dependent upon you.
Yeah. So there you go. More intimate, one-to-one.
Intimacy we like.
Right, so number 2. This one's a bit of a challenge. Write some custom music.
Why do you say it's a challenge, Greg?
Okay, now I understand. I've looked at the notes afterwards. Write some custom music. It just made it sound like a lot of work. But
I know. I was saying take some form of commission. So the easiest thing that you could say is, right, if you've got a birthday coming up, if somebody has got a birthday coming up, like that's probably putting it in a better light. Why not let me, as a musician that they know and like, write a custom birthday song for them that might feature the names of their pets or have something to do with their occupation or their favourite sort of football team. And, dare I say, here's a little bit of a tip. If you do write some form of maybe, birthday music, you've got yourself a bit of a template there, and maybe you only need to change a couple of words or so, and you can resell that to the next person down the line.
Just maybe do it in a slightly different key, so there's no copyright infringement.
It may well be. But again, you can maybe discuss what someone is able to do with said song. Or again, you could, even just blast out a little, you could charge maybe something for a little sort of birthday video, but some form of commission, maybe personal song. That might be, or something for an anniversary. Greg, can you imagine being in a long-established relationship with a significant other, and you might want to surprise them for a special anniversary, for a little custom song about where they met, and all the tough scrapes that they've gone through, but after all this, Karen and David still love each other. That might be something that someone would be willing to pay a lot of money for.
Yes. So now I understand when you write some custom music. I thought you meant you have to write someone an individual song that could take a lot of time. But no,
C, F and G, there you go, all the major chords. It's got to be happy, upbeat. But and like I say, you could have something that's a bit of dare I say, I've done this for my own particular band, as in I've taken quite a few significant elements from existing songs when I've had to do some
really
custom commission. Oh yeah, we won't discuss that. that's too much here. But let's not make it hard for yourself.
No.
Yes, some form of custom commission. You could individually, write out the lyrics on a nice piece of paper as a lyric sheet and have that as part of the package. So again, these are things that again we're talking about that exclusivity. This is something that no one else will have, and it might not really take you that much. That much time to slave over. Again, major chords C, F, and G, and there you go. You've got a nice little something that you might be able to sell on to somebody at quite a high price, and then it's not that difficult to adapt, and improve, and change and tweak ever so slightly for the next person who requests it. So I think that's a very good idea.
Well, there you go. Try it. Let us know how you get, and write in the comments beneath.
And if anybody wants to write me a song for my upcoming birthday in June, then by all means.
Yes. Right. So moving on to the next one. Number 3, sell some merch.
Most artists, if they're gigging, will have some form of inventory, large or small, in terms of merchandise that they're carrying. If you, like me, have got bits and bobs stuck in your garage, which, let's face it, you're not going to be able to sell for the next couple of months, maybe some form of fire sale is in order. So just go through what you've got, heavily discount it, get it on. Go on.
Are you going to do that T-shirt that we talked about? Because if you are, I want it. I will buy one.
I need to discuss that with my colleagues. I'm speaking to them later.
Great.
So cancelled world tour. But speaking of lockdown specific merchandise, I know a couple of artists who are doing this. They're doing live weekly streams, and those particular streams have a specific night. So it could well be that you're a jazz musician and you're doing a live broadcast every Monday, and it's like Monday Night Jazz. I've seen 2 artists create custom T-shirts branded specifically around the name of their weekly live streamed shows, and people do like buying tangible physical items of merchandise as means of support. So again, if you're getting people who are regularly watching your live streams, and those live streams have a theme or a name, it could well be that you can, if you've got an audience, you can exploit that name and create physical merchandise based around your live stream. So that's something I think every musician could take.
Will you potentially create some merch based around your pub quiz?
I could do. I'd started to create merchandise based around one of our semi-regular internet features, which is us eating crisps. So it could well be, it could well be that because my band has a regular weekly pub quiz, I could create a virtual, pub quiz T-shirt with the hashtag Let's Get Quizzing, and that could be a way of for everyone who's joining in at home to show their support.
Isn't it about time that you did like a branded pint glass?
We've, in fact, somewhere within my room, I do have a branded pint glass. Yes, there we go.
Why have I never seen them?
I don't know. They were a while ago. 2000, nearly 8 years ago, we started selling those.
Right.
The reason why we've never done any more because they weren't that heavy sellers, and also they broke rather easily. Glassware, fragile.
Well, at least now, if you're selling them from home, you only need to worry about the carriage.
Yeah, but you try and think of the...
Yeah, okay, that's a fair point.
Yeah, the precariousness of sending glass items through the post. Rather you than me, Greg, rather you than me.
Yeah, okay.
So, so some physical, tangible merchandise that's maybe based around your current lockdown online activities. I think a lot of people would go great guns for that.
Okay, right. So moving on to number 4, create a gift voucher.
I don't know about you, Greg, but when it comes to buying birthday presents for certain friends and relatives, and you're always thinking, oh, I've no idea what to buy them. I'm normally the sort of person who goes down to Wilkinson's, goes through their gift voucher rail. It could be Pizza Express, it could be Cineworld, it could be New Look. I'll probably just go, right, I've no idea what to buy them. £30 on a voucher for this particular outlet. That's my present sort of sorted. So it may well be that, as a musician, you could do something similar yourself. So the easiest thing that you could maybe do is you could create a gift voucher for a house concert. So obviously you can't necessarily do that now, but you can say, at some point in the future when the lockdown has lifted, I'm currently now going to sell a gift voucher that either you can buy and use yourself, or you can buy and donate to a loved one, which will give the bearer of said voucher one house concert from me. And you could probably charge that at quite a high rate.
Well, you could do a barbecue party, couldn't you? You turn up, play a barbecue party if the weather's nice, and stuff, and do things like that. So at least, you can turn it into almost like a decent little gig in someone's home.
So in other words, it's a buy now, use later sort of scheme. I'm doing something similar with a restaurant in Manchester called the Hip Hop Chip Shop, and I've spent £30 on a meal voucher, which they can use as cash flow to keep going. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be redeemable once they reopen again. So I feel as though I've done my bit in supporting a local business keep going, and they get vital cash flow, which will hopefully see them through this particular lockdown period. And you can do that and phrase that to your audience in a similar sort of fashion, as in you can buy a gift voucher now for use when the lockdown is lifted, and in doing so, you're helping me and my current financial situation. So some form of gift voucher. I mean, a house concert is just the thing that I think it's most appropriate to. Or you could say you could buy a voucher which entitles the bearer and a +1 to a VIP experience at a show of your choice, whereby you get free entry to the venue. You can come backstage, you can eat pizzas and have a beer with us backstage, and you can buy it now and use it at any point at one of my future shows.
Have you ever done that?
No, I don't want anyone in my dressing room that I don't know. It's a sanctuary. But it's something it's something we've talked about in the past, me and my band. But it's something that some of my fans. It's something they go and they'd pay a lot of money for something like that. To be inside and on the inner sort of circle, as it were.
Yeah, no, I agree. So there you go. Some more ideas on how to create a bit of cash from things you're already doing.
Yes, and there's still 2 more to go.
There are, right. So number 5, it is sell your skills.
So do a skills inventory. What can you do that you can charge money for that people can access? So most people out there are going to be musicians, they're going to be singing, vocalists. So it could well be that you could offer some form of musical lesson that you could give online. And yourself, Greg, how much music lessons cost? £20 for half an hour? What? Yeah. So, that could be a lucrative form of income. So it may well be that you can even just show people how to play specifically just your songs, rather than sort of general sort of music lessons. But just think about all the skills that you've got that you can necessarily monetize, that people might want access to. I mean, it could well be that people just spend money for your time. Almost one of my friends, Stu, who's a comedian, he's doing what he refers to as working lunches, whereby if anyone's got a specific, maybe like in the world of comedy, if they're like an up and coming sort of stand up, they can come to him with specific ideas as to how to develop their particular act, and he will, spend 40 minutes to an hour with them, and people can pay him for his time, and he can just analyze where they're at and some of their ideas and almost sort of workshop it. So just think of any level of skill or a period of time. What will people gladly pay money for from you?
Yeah. So, maybe write some skills down, and I suppose sometimes you forget the skills that you have until you actually think about it and kind of go, well, actually, I can do this and I can do that and stuff like that. So, and I mean, it's something.
Yeah. So if you consider yourselves an accomplished sort of songwriter, you can say to them, okay, you budding songwriters out there, do you have loads of songs that are might be half finished, or you don't feel as though are particularly up to scratch? We can have a workshop in a one-to-one fashion, again paying for that level of intimacy, and you could workshop, do sort of like a songwriting workshop, and try and work through people's half-finished ideas, or just help people get better within their sort of process.
Yeah. So there you go. Sell your skills. Capitalize on what you already know. I think I've said that twice in a row now.
That's quite all right.
It's
emphasis, Greg. It's emphasis.
Exactly right. So finally, number 6, start a crowdfunder. I did mention this right at the start, so it's kind of ironic that we're mentioning it right at the end.
Yeah, well, it's everything's a circle, Greg. Everything's a circle. Most people are familiar with platforms like Patreon, and I think it's fair to say that most musicians don't have any form of maybe crowdfunding is not the right word, but means of support from fans on a regular sort of basis. Let's use the term patron. I'm a patron of 2 particular podcasts, which I pay, I think, $2 and $3 a month respectively, which, when you think about it, is a bare minimum of giving somebody $24 a year, which, if you think about it, that's almost like buying 2 CDs from a musician or an artist. Just because I like what they do, I get access to special sort of content. And even if, as a musician, you're not creating too much in the way of additional content for patrons, you could do something like, as long as you're creating content and putting it out on a regular sort of basis, you could give and grant your patrons early access to that. So if you'd like a video a week, or some form of content, or podcasts or what have you, it may well be that you can just grant the people who give you money on a modest sort of level, $1 or $2 a month. You could just grant them early access to whatever you're putting out, so they feel as though they're getting something for their money, and you don't have to run yourself into the ground creating all this additional sort of content. So it may well be that if you have been good to your fans, and the point that I wanted to make at this particular juncture is, do you remember back in July of last year, Greg, when we did Deep Dive number 12, which was how to bank on your fans?
Yes, I do remember vaguely, yes.
Which was all about you as a musician engaging your audience, trying to build and develop a relationship with them, spending time with them, answering all their sort of comments, maybe going live and engaging with your audience, replying to all your comments, that sort of thing, in order that at some point in the future, each time you did that, you were depositing and placing a little deposit in your fan bank for some point in the future where you could make a withdrawal. Ladies and gentlemen, now is the time to ask and make that withdrawal.
Is that BT's got a new record out?
Here we go again. You'll make BT.
And one of the clients that I work with, he wrote on, I don't know, on Instagram or something, and 2 on BT's, saying, I really like it stuff. And, he responded. So this is a guy who's a Hollywood film scorer who still makes the effort to say, "Oh, thanks for your support."
And in doing so, you like him even more.
Yeah.
So the next time he releases a particular release, or maybe puts out a little bit of merchandise, you think, oh, actually, he's nice, and because he replied to me, you will look more favourably when he asks you for money. And
I think I use him as an example just because he's accomplished so much, and in certain circles he's held in very high regard. But at the same time, he's still grounded enough to say, "Look, I don't take this as a given," and will respond to fans and say, well, thanks for your feedback. So I think that's quite humbling at the same time, and I think it's definitely a pattern of behaviour that I think should be, followed, rather than certain people who think they're above this because whatever.
So, if the focus is very much on your audience and engaging with them and speaking to them and spending the time both online and in real life, and myself as a band and as an artist, I always go to the merch stall at the end of every show, and anyone who wants a photo, anyone who wants an autograph, we're here for them. So it's at some point in the future, like when we release our next item of merchandise, and say to people, look, I know that lots of you will already, we'll buy this anyway, but in terms of the way things are for musicians, I'm counting on you even more. Again, if you make more of a heartfelt ask, whether that's a piece of merchandise or whether it's like a regular monthly donation or subscription through some sort of patronage sort of platform, hopefully that shouldn't be too much of an ask, and people will say, oh, you know what, they've done a lot of work for me, she's been taught, she always replies to my tweets, that sort of thing. Then hopefully that shouldn't be too much of an ask. And if you give people either early access to things, or again, in terms of the tiers of contributions, you can create different types and custom forms of content that's specific to their level of donation, then all the better. So now might be the time to think about some form of Patreon or monthly subscription, crowdfunder type thing.
So there you go. That is 6 ways in which you can create money from the things you already know and do.
And the people who already follow you on social media. So I think everybody who listens to this podcast should be able to enact at least one of those.
Yes.
And this is recording this podcast is going to spur me on to try and come up with that lockdown branded / themed T-shirt. I think lots of places are still making merchandise, although I think there are some delays in terms of getting. It's not maybe as quick a turnaround as normal, but I think a lot of places are still sort of making merchandise if people need to make their make new custom items of merch.
Yeah. So let us know what you do and how you get on.
That would be good. So if you enact any of those, let us know which one you're going to choose in the comments box below, wherever you see this video, or if you're listening via our podcast, which is very popular. Do we have an email address for the podcast? Probably not. I think they might be able to message us on Anchor FM, which is where our podcast is hosted. They might be able to message us there. Oh, now, I'm sure you keep the website up to date, Greg.
Yep, it is.
Oh, every episode?
Maybe not since the lockdown, I'll be honest. But
well, there we go. Well, you can update with this one, and they can send us a message through the website. Just search 30-minute music marketing. All the M's.
.com, I think.
Is it a com or is it Google it. Google it. We really should know the name of our own website, really, shouldn't we?
Yes, I know. It gets a lot of traffic. No.
I know.
So anyway, there you go. We will see you, and we know it's a few days late this week, but
Doesn't matter.
you know, it's the information is still as relevant today as it would have been on Monday.
The most important thing is for everyone out there to stay safe. You all keep well, and we will see you next time round.
Thanks very much.
Take care now.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.